I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, let us continue with our transmission regarding the next phase of open contact. As we transmitted in the last transmission, the idea is to prepare yourselves for the introduction of extraterrestrials within the course of the next 5 of your years. Assuming that each and every one of you have begun to ponder what that would be like in your lives, how you would respond to those kinds of changes in your reality, we will continue now to provide a little bit more information about the steps that may follow with the idea of open contact. However, first, we would like to address something that was brought up in the last transmission regarding the idea of what contact would be like with respect to a couple of expressions of your entertainment. It was brought up of the contrast and the comparisons between Star Wars and Star Trek. The idea is that Star Wars is representative of something that happened millions of years ago in the old Orion systems, where there was a lot of oppression, suppression, rebellion, struggle, strife, negativity, fear. The idea, as we have said, is that there are many stories playing out on Earth to help finish some of those old cycles. So the ancient Orion story is here, which is one of the reasons why, intuitively and collectively, Star Wars was created, to bring that back up into your consciousness so that you could process it, deal with it, begin to let it go. So, Star Wars represents symbolically your past. Star Trek represents symbolically your future, where you are moving into the idea of a unity, an exploration, an experience, a connection between many different species in the galaxy. The idea, of course, is that eventually you yourselves, humanity itself, will venture out among the stars with the assistance of extraterrestrial technology to become other civilizations, UFOs, to take on the process of letting them know that they are not alone in the universe. You will encounter many different kinds of civilizations, just as we have. Many of you will specialize in exactly how you approach these civilizations and become first contact specialists yourselves in the far future, in the decades to come. We have in the past talked about the idea of a civilization not so very far away from your own that will be, in a sense, a kind of test case for you. We have left this civilization alone. You will be the ones to make first contact with them as humanity, so that you can be trained as to how to go about that particular process, to understand, to observe, to watch, to study, to learn what their civilization is all about. So in your ships, you can begin to decide whether it is and when it is appropriate for you to approach them, how it might be appropriate for you to initiate first contact with the dispensation of information, with sightings, so on and so forth. Programs will be laid out. You will plan, you will consult, you will confer, you will decide together in councils how you will approach new civilizations who you feel may be ready for the very beginnings of open contact for their civilization. Now, you will do it differently than we have done it, for we are evolved to a point where we have done this in a very different way, but you will have your way of doing this. and they will get to know you as a species and become familiar with themselves through your eyes eventually. The idea, going back to Star Wars and Star Trek, as to what it is that was and what it is that will be, we remind you that even in the creation of the entertainment of Star Wars, to give you your first clue that it's about your past and not your future, it begins a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So you know intuitively it is about where you came from and not where you're going to. Now again, there are, as I said, many stories playing out, finishing up. The story of Atlantis, the story of the ancient Martian civilization, which many of your souls incarnated upon long time ago. The destruction of their ecosystem through meteoric bombardment and other natural catastrophes rendered the planet relatively uninhabitable over a period of time. And so the souls began to incarnate, when viable, upon the earth. So you are finishing out that story as well. Those are three of the main stories that are seeking a different outcome, that are experiencing a process that can lead to a more positive outcome than was experienced, linearly speaking, in history. You come together because, again, the earth is the kind of school where stories can be told and stories can be played out in a different way according to your choices, according to your ability to transform. Now, in the years following open contact on your planet, after the first contact specialists, such as myself, have done their job, so to speak, others from our society and other societies will also be of assistance in the process of allowing you to acclimate to the idea of interacting as a society with extraterrestrial beings. Next will come what we term the social engineers. When this channel began to bring our society through, our energy through, even though I made the initial connection due to our agreement from Spirit, one of the first beings that the channel brought through was a female from my society that was termed Anima, for those who will remember. Anima is a colleague of mine, and she is a social engineer. So she will come among you with others of her kind to help you understand the idea of social engineering, which basically translates to the concept of planetary management, since you will now begin to understand your world, your entire world, as your home, and begin to understand with new technologies how to manage things on a global scale for the benefit of humanity. So planetary management will be the domain of the social engineers from our society and others who will come to aid and assist you in understanding how to transform easily, beneficially, your society, sociologically, politically, economically, so on and so forth. To distribute the idea of sustenance in a more efficient way, to experience the idea of the distribution of free energy in a more efficient way, to experience the idea of yourselves truly as global citizens, eventually retaining the idea of your cultural differences and validating and cherishing them, but erasing the idea of any political borders that you have drawn out on your planet in the years to come, in the decades ahead, so that you may travel freely around your world, so that you may understand the entire world as your home, to gain global consciousness, and that is the next step in humanity progressing towards becoming Homo galacticus. Because as you spread out among the stars eventually, you will look back to Earth and cherish Earth and preserve Earth as your true home, so that you have that basis, you have that anchor point, so that you know that it is always there for you for quite a while, for millennia to come, until such time as it is no longer necessary for the evolution of your species. And as we said, you turn it over to other species to take advantage of the cycles of Earth for their own exploration, for their own life path, for their own soul's journey. And so it will be a progression of expansion, a progression of connection, a progression of awareness, more and more introductions of all the different ways that different species within the galaxy have of expressing themselves, from things that you might consider relatively ordinary but different, to those you would consider to be extremely exotic and almost unimaginable. We have mentioned a few of these species over time, and you will be given the opportunity to understand how many more species there are, even just in your own galaxy. There are literally millions of civilizations you have yet to discover. It is a rich treasure trove of different perspectives, different experiences, different understandings, different awarenesses, different expressions of the one source of all that is, so that you may find connectivity and communion, even though you may have extremely different understandings and experiences of how you express the idea of your reflection of all that is. There will always be that common bond on the soul level, because all souls are the same. Our souls are the same souls as your souls, the same type of souls. We all go home to the spirit world. That is where we are right now with all of you. We are playing this game in various ways in what you call physical reality, to learn, to grow, to expand existence and creation itself in all the ways that it can. But we are all the same kind of soul, all the same kind of reflection of all that is. The validation of all our differences is what will create unity among us all. To respect, to validate, to cherish as precious the differences, the different perspectives that allow you to start functioning when you connect them all together as a true holistic system. To be able to know that whatever you need exists somewhere that can be accessed, so that there is no want, so that there is no shortage, so that there is no lack. When you allow yourself to connect to all that is available to you among the stars, so that you are no longer experiencing yourselves as an isolated world, the abundance is beyond imagining to what you will have access to. The first gifts that you will be given, as precious and wondrous as they may be, will pale by comparison to what you can eventually access throughout the cosmos. You have yet to stretch your imaginations to encompass what is out here. This will be the joy of discovery, the joy of expansion of your species, to discover all that awaits you on your cosmic path, now that you have arrived at a point on your journey as a planetary species to an interplanetary one, to an interstellar one, and eventually to an intergalactic one, and eventually still to an interuniversal one, a multiversal species, multiple dimensions of experience. What awaits you is within you. Right now, allow us to help you unfold it, to help you walk that path. It is your choice. And the choice, for many of you, has been made. And that is why you will experience something very different in the introduction of open contact within the next 5 years. We thank you profoundly, deeply, with great appreciation and gratitude for allowing us, through you, to expand our galactic family. For you are precious to us, and we owe you a lot. In return, I ask you now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your dialogues and questions, if you wish, or shall I say, if you dare.